Hey guys, Brandon here. Today we're going to be shooting out Wizard Hellraiser KT66 120 watt and a Wizard MTL Mark II EL34 50 watt. I know you guys are probably thinking, where have you been? Where have the videos been? I got some water damage in my house, set things back. So this is about first time I'm picking up one of these in like a month. So everything's back to normal now and life can resume. Anyway, I really have been wanting to do this one for a while. Um, Not just for you guys, but for my own sake, because I'm going to start clearing out a couple amps here. And I'm like, well, which one of these should I keep? The Hellraiser or the MTL? Both are god tier like amps, at least in my opinion, have crazy amounts of push, clarity, and in the Hellraiser's case, just a absurd amount of gain. MTL has a little bit less. So in this shootout, I do have a deadwell duality on the front end of the amp, boosting it just to make it a little bit more fair to compare these two. It is currently in the TC electronic mode. So if you have a dirty tree or whatever, you can get there with this or any one of those like TC style circuits. Um, I've messed around with these amps a decent bit prior to hitting the record button just to get them close-ish sounding, because otherwise this would have drug on for a very long time to get them set just right with the pedal and everything else. So we'll go ahead and start here with the Hellraiser. I'm going to flick it to on in a second. It's just, there's some noise and stuff, and I didn't want that cutting into the mic on the part where I'm talking here. So we'll go ahead and start it off with the Hellraiser, and yeah, let's go. So yeah, super aggressive, tons of gain, tons of amount of clarity for that much gain, which is just nuts. Let's go ahead, switch over to the MTL here, see what we're working with. So yeah, that absolutely rips too. What I will say immediately is like the Hellraiser does have more headroom here than the MTL. I think that just has to do with the wattage, but I mean, this is no slouch. I know it says it's a 50 watt head, but I feel like Wizards are like one of those amps where they punch way above whatever wattage it says. Like you can see here, the Hellraiser's volume is at like 2, and there's stuff that's rattling in my house right now. Like it is absolutely no joke how loud these amps are, and that's why they're set there. Like this, you can tell I have my preamp set to a pretty reasonable level here, and you can see behind me, like it's pushing them pretty damn hard. So let's keep doing a little bit of back and forth so you guys can really pick out the differences between the two. Like I said, I have them dialed in fairly close with the boost and everything else engaged. I feel like instantly, just from that, without going back and forth super fast, I can tell more headroom, little more clarity, and that's probably has to do with me introducing something else into the signal path with the MTL, the boost, but more gain, more clarity, instantly more headroom. But that's not saying that this is a bad amp by any means. Like, that sounds insane. So let's go ahead, do some pedal tap dancing and go back and forth. We will start with the Hellraiser here. Something else I'm noticing too is I feel that the Hellraiser's mid-range is just a tad bit more on the Marshall-y side versus the MTL seems to be almost like kind of Uberschall-esque, like old school Uberschall-esque, at least in my opinion here. Let's keep doing some riffs. Something else I do want to say here. Sorry, I'm totally scatterbrained because I haven't done any of this in a little bit. There are some bright switches on the back of these amps. So kind of two schools of thought with how I've seen people dial these amps in. Some guys like myself will put the bright knobs at about like noon or a little bit past noon, turn the presence up a bit, back off the treble. To me, it gives just this face punching, super tight clarity, metal chuggy sound. Other guys like running up the brights pretty high and then backing off the presence. And then some guys just, put the brights up high and the presence up high. That's not my deal. I mean, it gets ear piercing to me and just doesn't sound good, at least in my opinion. But we'll go ahead and just keep going back and forth. I'm going to switch this back on. So like I said, getting away from the feedback into this talking mic here. Man, both absolutely crushing. As you can tell, I love me some Cannibal Corpse. So let's go ahead and mess with a couple of these settings. I want to toggle back and forth between the presence just so you guys can hear what the difference is there. You can hear like that starts to get a little bit much for me, but it'll do. yeah, you guys can hear what I mean. Like, you got to set it just to that right amount of level where it still cuts, still sounds good, but you can get a little bit ear piercing there for sure. I mean, get it back to where it was. Sounds good to me there. All right, let's go over to the MTL, hear what we're working with. Yeah, just like I said, both of them have that capability of getting just to be like a little too much. Back them off a little bit, sounds great, at least with my bright settings that I have going on. The low end here, I'm not going to mess with too much. You know, this is 120 watt. This is a 50 watt here. So this is obviously gonna, why not? Let's crank it. Like, cool in the room sound, but under a microphone, I mean, I'm not listening to what the mic's spitting out right now, but I can tell you, like, on headphones or speakers, that's probably just turning into way too much. So that is why I back it off to about here. Let's hear that again. Like, that's really all you need, unless you just want to show your friends that your amp has more low end than theirs, which is, I guess you could do that. Let's go over to the MTL. I just punches super hard, man. Like, I do have the depth and bass up higher on the MTL than I do have on a Hellraiser, and the main reason for that is because of having this boost engage. If I didn't have that boost engage, I'd probably back it off a little bit. Let me just show you guys what the boost is actually doing to this thing real quick. All right, let's see. So yeah, I mean, hard rock like stuff, probably good to go there with something like that, but we're here for metal tones. So we're going to engage that puppy right back on. Hold up one second. Let me go ahead and do the pull boost here on the MTL so you guys can hear what the onboard one does. All right, so onboard boost is cool, but just to me, it doesn't quite get it there. That duality just pushes it over the top. It makes it sound absolutely crushing. Let's go ahead and check out the mids, because I have a feeling this one's going to be a little bit different. the mids on the MTL kind of remind me of like the old school Ubershaw. Yeah, let's keep it going. That definitely disappears when you scoop them out. I think about the sweet range is just sitting at that 4 spot like I had it. I like more scoop tones, so that's my stuff right there. It's a little more like too much for me there. I think just about noon is the key to both of these amps, as far as the mids are concerned. Like I said, this kind of reminds me of the old school Ubershaw. This is a little bit more Marshall-esque to me. I mean, it definitely isn't a Marshall by any means, but it just kind of has that thing going on, like that kerrang. I don't know how else to describe it except for that. See what the trebles do a little bit. I'm not going to go any more than that because it's just going to get ear piercing for me and you. So let's go. All right, back it back off to where I had it. About here. Sounds pretty damn beastly there, man. Definitely a little much, but back it off a bit. I think they're both pretty similar in that treble frequency. Like, they both are pretty much just shooting at that 4K range, which, I mean, it makes it cut through. All right, guys, so that's going to do it for the day here, shooting these two guys out. To me, I think my opinion from the beginning of the video to the end, probably unchanged here. So I feel like the Hellraiser has more clarity, a little bit more low end available, and obviously more gain than the MTL does. Like, of course, there's no question about it. But when you slam a boost in front of the MTL, I mean, this amp is a freaking killer amp, man. Like I said, they're both absolutely god tier amps, but I don't know what I'm gonna do about it because I'm like, man, having two wizards sitting here it's a lot. But I feel like I can get close enough to one or the other while boosting it. I know some guys are like anti-boost or whatever, but I don't really care because it sounds good and it sounds metal. Um, Let me know what you guys think here. Which one would you keep? Which one would you get? I know the price tag on these things are hefty, and I've pretty much only bought Wizards exclusively used for that reason. And I think potentially if you one of you guys is going to purchase this, that's what it might come down to is saying, what's the better price and what can you find one for? Is there a local deal or what have you? Well, anyway, guys, good to be back. Good to be doing some metal. We'll see you around. Thanks.